Have you ever noticed how often people say they are exhausted even on days when very little has actually happened, when no unusual effort was required, and when rest should have been sufficient to feel normal again? Most people assume low energy is the result of overwork, poor sleep, or lack of discipline, and while those factors can matter, they rarely explain why fatigue feels persistent, vague, and resistant to rest for so many people. From a human perspective, tiredness feels physical and obvious. From an observational perspective, it often originates somewhere less visible. This is meta-intelligence, examining a pattern where energy is not depleted through effort, but quietly drained through constant emotional regulation that goes unnoticed while it is happening. At the moment energy begins to drop, it rarely feels emotional. It feels like heaviness, distraction, irritability, or the sense that something is slightly off. Most people only label it emotional much later, when the pattern becomes clear and the fatigue is already settled in. The nervous system is designed to manage threat, uncertainty, and social friction continuously. When those demands are low, energy feels available and stable. When they are high, energy is diverted toward regulation rather than output, even if the person appears inactive on the surface. This is why energy loss often feels confusing. People look at their day and see nothing that should have been draining, yet their body disagrees. Many people notice this contradiction most clearly in the difference between obligation and anticipation. Getting up at 5 in the morning for work often feels heavy and draining, even when sleep was adequate and the day ahead is not physically demanding, while getting up at 3 in the morning to travel, leave for vacation, or begin something personally meaningful can feel light and energizing despite greater sleep disruption. From the inside, both situations involve early waking and effort. From an observational standpoint, the nervous system is preparing for entirely different demands. In one case, it anticipates prolonged regulation, resistance, and unresolved obligation. In the other, it anticipates movement toward relief, novelty, and eventual resolution. This difference does not register consciously as emotion. It registers as energy. The body does not feel motivated or unmotivated, it feels heavy or available. Only later does it become clear that the drain was anticipatory resistance rather than lack of rest. From observation, much of modern fatigue comes not from doing too much, but from avoiding discomfort while remaining mentally engaged. The system stays alert without resolution, which is far more expensive than brief, focused effort. Consider how often energy is spent managing emotion rather than performing action, through avoiding a difficult conversation that lingers unresolved, monitoring how one is perceived in situations that feel socially or professionally ambiguous, or suppressing irritation that never fully dissipates, and therefore continues to demand regulation in the background. Each of these requires continuous regulation, even though none of them look like work. Over time, this creates a baseline drain. Energy is never fully replenished because the nervous system never fully stands down. This is why rest often fails to restore energy. Sleep addresses physical fatigue, but it does not resolve unresolved emotional load. When the same patterns resume the next day, energy drops again, and the cycle continues. Many people attempt to solve this energy loss by increasing stimulation rather than reducing regulation, reaching for more caffeine, more scrolling, or more entertainment in an effort to feel alert again, even though these inputs briefly mask fatigue while quietly keeping the nervous system activated and preventing true recovery. From observation, this is how people become both tired and restless at the same time. The body wants rest. The mind seeks distraction. Neither gets what it actually needs. Energy is also quietly lost through indecision. When decisions are delayed to avoid discomfort, the brain keeps them active in the background. This low-grade monitoring consumes attention and drains energy without producing progress. This is why people feel lighter after making decisions, even difficult ones. The effort was not the problem. The unresolved state was. The cost of choosing comfort first with energy is subtle. Comfort avoids immediate discomfort, but it prolongs regulation. Prolonged regulation drains energy far more reliably than short periods of effort. From an external standpoint, people who report the lowest energy are often not the busiest. They are the most internally constrained, not because their lives are demanding on the surface, but because their attention is fragmented across unresolved concerns and their emotions remain unprocessed, requiring constant background regulation that quietly drains energy even in the absence of visible effort. Their environment is stimulating but unresolved. This pattern explains why some people feel energized by demanding work, while others feel drained by inactivity. The difference is not effort. It is whether emotional load is being converted into action or left circulating without outlet. If this analysis feels useful, subscribing simply ensures continuity. No urgency is required. A simple observation clarifies this pattern. Notice how energy often returns after engaging with something slightly uncomfortable but contained. A difficult workout, a focused work session, an honest conversation. These activities consume energy initially, but often restore it afterward. This is not because effort creates energy. It is because resolution reduces regulation. When discomfort is faced directly, the nervous system completes a loop. When discomfort is avoided, the loop stays open, consuming energy indefinitely. This is why numbing behaviors feel appealing when energy is low. They reduce awareness of discomfort without resolving it. Relief is then immediate and recovery is delayed. From observation, people who maintain stable energy do not avoid discomfort entirely. They limit how long it remains unresolved. They move toward friction slowly, imperfectly, and without escalation, allowing resolution to occur. This is also why constant self-optimization backfires. Monitoring energy too closely increases regulation, which further drains it. Energy stabilizes when attention is freed from continuous self-assessment. It is important to clarify that low energy is not always behavioral. Medical, nutritional, and sleep factors matter and should not be ignored. The pattern described here applies when fatigue persists despite reasonable inputs. In those cases, energy loss is often a signal, not a failure. It indicates that emotional load is being carried without movement. Some people, after recognizing this, want a way to distinguish rest from numbing and recovery from avoidance without relying on willpower. That structure exists separately as a written implementation system, linked in the description and pinned comment for those who want it. It is optional. The reframe is simple. Energy is not lost only through effort. It is lost through unresolved states that require continuous regulation. When discomfort is engaged rather than deferred, energy does not spike dramatically. It stabilizes. And stability is what allows capacity to grow over time. From observation, most people are not tired because they are weak. They are tired because they are carrying more unresolved emotion than they realize. End of transmission.